Welcome to Security. My name is Network Gremlin, aka Abaddon Ignatius, and this is a short guide to the basics of security. If you're just starting this department out for the first time, you're probably a security cadet. But let's first go through the different roles of security so we can understand kind of what is going on. There will be in-depth guides on what each role does in future, but for now, this is just a beginner's guide. So, you have your security cadet. That is what you will most likely be playing. If you haven't played security at all, you will have to join in as a security cadet. Once you have gotten enough hours to join the security officers, or once you've been whitelisted in the case of Delta V, you then can become a security officer. And a security officer is essentially just a cadet with more access. And you don't really give a cadet any live ammunition when it comes to excuse my partner here, Daisy. You don't give a cadet usually live ammunition when it comes to code reds, but I'll go through the codes a little bit later. So you have your security cadet when you're first starting out, then you can become a security officer. Then your warden is essentially your security officer with more perks, and as well as he stays behind at security. And so that's one thing that's very crucial to understand, is that Warden stays in security for most of the game, if not all of the game. You shouldn't. There needs to be a very good reason as a warden that you're leaving security. Warden is in charge of perma prisoners as well as incoming prisoners into like the holding area or something similar to that. Then lastly, you have your head of security. It's just your deputy head of security. They run the department. I mean, not much to really explain there in that regard. They have all of the so then you have your head of security. Your head of security is well, obviously it's your department head. They're in charge of everything. When it comes to distribution of weaponry or some sort, if someone comes to you and let's just say it's epistemics and they want a stun baton for a artifact, and there will be an epi guide, then you ask your HOS if you can give that out or not. You just kind of you rely on that. But those are kind of the general roles. You can also count a lawyer as a security role, but the lawyer doesn't really have any security access except for the front area. And when it comes to space law, your lawyers become quite important. Let me just help this guy out quickly. Okay, I'm just hiding away here just so I'm not disturbed for this for the rest of this video, hopefully. So those are all the roles within security. When it comes to your equipment, that's what I'm going to go over next. Is what comes standard as a security officer and how do you use them. So everything here, I'll just put that scarf away because it isn't. Everything here is what you spawn in with if you choose security. You should know broadly what everything kind of is because you hopefully have watched my beginner's guide. But if not, I'll just go over some things that are interesting about what you spawn with. You spawn with a Kevlar vest, so that's good against slash, etc, etc. If you go to a security locker, you can get yourself a bulletproof vest. So if you have a look here, yeah, there's your bulletproof vest. Your glasses, they block flashes, right? So you shouldn't have to worry about dodging flashes if you've got your glasses on. And then the rest of this is all just quite self-explanatory. You have your security backpack and your security belt, etc, 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 etc. You can get some more customization options over here. I personally enjoy a lovely beret. You can't go wrong with a beret. But in any case, so how do you use your equipment though? This is everything you spawn in. I've added nothing. You start off with your flashbangs, your handcuffs, your stun batons, your survival box, your flash, and the space cola is something I picked up for a drink. So, how do you use them? Now, one thing you want to be very careful of within combat is you don't walk around with your stun baton in your hand, because people can slip you, people can push you, and they can disarm you, right? So what you can do is you can go Shift E, and that's obviously now because I've got this already in my hands, but if I didn't have it in my hands, Shift E will quick take the last thing from your security belt that you've taken. So what you can do is you just, at the beginning of the round or whatever, you just put your stun baton in your hand and you put it back. And then when you're in a situation where, say, okay, someone's getting rowdy, okay, we need to calm them down, and then they start resisting, you like, I'm arresting you, stop, and they just run. Then on the fly, you can just run, and you can just Shift E, and then you're good to go. Now, the crucial thing with stun batons is you want to press your Z key so that you activate it. Whatever your use key is, you want to press that. If you don't, then you're just going to be hitting someone with blunt. You're not going to be disabling them. So make sure that you see it sparking. Stun batons can run out of ammo, so just be careful of that. You don't run out of ammo. What am I saying? Run out of charge. So you don't want to leave it on, because it will run out of charge, and then you'll just be hitting people for brute, and you're going to be accused of police brutality. So don't do that. So in any case, next is your handcuffs. I am missing a pair of handcuffs because I had to arrest a clown for a mime for assault, but regardless, your handcuffs also, you put them in your, you put them in your inventory, and then you have to walk up to someone. Yes, they're still there. You walk up to them and you left click, and then you start cuffing. When you finish the cuffing process, it's going to go into their hand slot, and then you have to uncuff them in order. They can, in order, to uncuff them, they can start a process of removing cuffs, so just watch out for that. But you should be fine in terms of if you move them. I don't think that if you move them, then they're fine. You can watch them. Flashbangs. Now, there are two different types of flashes here. You've got your flash here, which is how do I say this? Your flash is like a usage. If you saw there when I was using it, I was pressing my Z key. That activates the flash. I don't see it because I've got glasses on, but basically you're just flashing. The alternative to the flash, and as you can see now, I've used it all up because it's got charges. The alternative to the flash is the flash bangs. Now, same thing, when you want to activate your flash or your flash bang, you press Z, but if you listen here, you see that I pressed Z and it started beeping. Then what you can do is you can press Control Q and you'll throw the flashbang. That's how you throw flashes. And you don't have to throw flashes. What you can do is you can hold the flash in your hand and run close to someone and it'll still flash them. It doesn't really have any negative kind of implications if you carry it instead of if you carrying the flash while it goes off. But it is just useful to, if you want to throw it and you need to throw it and you're in pursuit of someone and they're running, so you don't have to throw it, but if you want to, then you can. Hoss is gonna tune me the fuck out for that. Oh, here we go. Oh no, that's Warden. Okay. Oh, well, in any case, I got tuned out, obviously. Got told to explain why I'm throwing flashes around. Expected and necessary, but, as seen in chat, I haven't found a test server that's adequate quite yet for this. But in any case, continuing. Now, so that's your combat kind of sorted. If you want a more in-depth guide on actual combat and how that works, obviously you activate your harm with one and you attack people. Well, I mean, like you left click, you right click, each uses different stamina. That is more of a I'm gonna have a separate guide on combat for itself, but just know that you should probably know what you're doing in terms of combat before you become a security officer, because you are going to be in combat and you don't want to get murked as a security officer. Please check out my video on combat if you want to understand how combat works. I'm not going to explain in this video, otherwise it's going to get too long. Now, space law. You have to know your space law as a security officer. Now, I will make a separate video on space law, but at the moment, if you want to consult for space law, there is a go to the website of the server and look at the subcategory, like look at the space law category if you want to understand how space law is working. Now, it is important that you at least read through it beforehand so you know what is going on. You don't want to be looking up space law mid-arrest, and you want to know what you are doing, why you are arresting someone before you arrest them. But it can kind of be, drawn to common sense on, like what can be seen as what, if someone hits you, that's obviously battery, If someone tries to kill you with a gun, that's obviously... that's obviously attempted murder, So it really just, as a security officer, everyone calls security shitsec because people sometimes, they just don't know their space law, and it just ruins everyone else's experience if you don't know space law. It really and truly does. So please just learn your space law. Don't make it hell for the rest of us. And check out my video on space law when it comes out, because that'll be a summarizing and an explaining of different scenarios. Now, so lastly, just before we end this video, I just want to go over the code levels, right? So now, if you go to your PDA, you can look at the current alert level. Green, only warden and HOS are really allowed live ammunition, and it's that way for a reason. At the end of the day, green, no one should have a gun except for warden and HOS. When it comes to blue, it's a little bit more situational, but it really depends. When it comes to red, and in the case of nukies, nukies are nuclear operatives. They are kind of antagonists that blow up the station. In those scenarios, you'll probably find that in nuki scenarios, the warden's just going to give out guns to the whole of sec, and it's just all hands on deck. But yeah, blue is a little bit more situational. You probably won't have open carry on blue. As the danger level increases, sec have bigger options. You should always, as a security officer, try to arrest someone without violence. If they resist arrest and they continue to do whatever, then you can stop resisting, and then if they don't stop resisting, then you can use a stun baton on them. But that's like a last case. And then when it comes to lethal damage, when it comes to lethals, you really try to not use lethals as much as possible. Also, one thing I want to touch on is searching. On green, you are not allowed to search anyone. There are no random checks. You can't search someone's backpack. You can strip them. You can walk up to someone and hopefully my friend, yeah. You can go and you can you can just have a look what they've got on them generally, but you're not allowed to open up any of their, open up their backpack, for instance. You're not allowed to do that. On blue, you are allowed to. You can search departments and people at random on blue, and at red, obviously, I mean, it's red. You can search whenever, whoever you're allowed, it's red. You're allowed to search. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. Again, I'm going to come out with videos on your space law, your combat, and those will come out in the future. And I hope that I see you in another video, because that would be pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think you'd be pretty cool if you checked out the next video, but what am I to say? Who am I to judge? Yeah, see you next video.